Hello everyone, today we will be cooking 3 completely different steaks and at different times. The first steak will cook for 5 minutes, the second for 50 minutes, and the third for 5 hours. Let's start. Alright, the first steak we have will be cooked the fastest is a marbled beef ribeye. It has a lot of small fat layers in it. Thanks to these layers, it turns out really juicy. Alright, our time has started. We put the frying pan on the stove and pour some olive oil into it. Let's put the steak on a plate, salt it, and pepper it. We rub the spices into it and flip it over. Also salt it, and of course, pepper. That's it, we transfer the steak into the frying pan and fry on one side for 2 minutes. In the meantime, we take a clean plate and put a bunch of arugula on top. Now we flip the steak onto its other side. And we have 2 minutes to make a glaze. To do this, we put a teaspoon of honey into a bowl. We also open up and pour in some soy sauce. We mix all this up and pour it on top of the steak. We wait for literally 20 more seconds, and we put the steak on the plate. Now we cut into it. The color turned out to be just what we were looking for. Now we put the sauce from the frying pan into a plate and spread out our sliced steak. In my opinion, it looks just fine. Let's try it. Yeah, this is freaking delicious, and these 5 minutes are just enough to cook it. Now we will have to wait as long as 50 minutes to cook our next steak. We will cook a pork steak, or rather from the most tender and delicious neck part of the pig. If you look closely, it looks like marbled beef in texture. So the first thing we need to do is score the entire surface of the steak. We salt it, flip it over, also score that side, and salt it. We put the ignition pills on the grill and set them on fire. We put a bowl on top for ignition. We fill it with coals. And wait for them to ignite. We put on gloves and pour the coals into the grill. We'll level this out with a poker. Put the grate back in and lay out the steak to fry. After a couple of minutes, we can turn it a little and leave it on the same side so that the beautiful grill marks remain on the steak. After about another minute, we turn it over. Also, don't forget to fry up the ends. Now we spread out some foil. We put the steak on top. Then on top of that goes some freshly ground chili pepper. As well as oregano. And we wrap the steak in foil. Now we put it back on the coals and cover with the lid. Meanwhile, we're going to pour some baby potatoes into the sink. We wash them thoroughly until they're totally clean. We open up the burner on the grill, light it, put a frying pan on and throw in a large piece of butter. Melt it and throw on our potatoes. Cover with the lid and wait 5 minutes. We lift it all up and remove all the condensation with a towel so that it doesn't drip onto the potatoes. Then turn the potatoes over to the other side. And cover them with the lid. All of this will cook on a very low flame. You should be left with a soft potato, which is easily crushed. They're ready. The steak is also ready. We open it up. And cut into it. This steak cuts just like butter. We will serve the steak directly on a cutting board. We spread out the potatoes. And sprinkle them with some thyme leaves, a little bit of cherry tomatoes, and we're left with a full-fledged lunch. Now let's try it. The pork steak is even softer than the beef, and more interesting due to the spices. We're gonna also try our potatoes. Yeah, our roasted potatoes are the most delicious and sweetest part of all. Well, we have about 5 whole hours to cook the next steak. We will cook a duck breast steak. This is very tasty meat right here. The main thing is to cook it properly. We have plenty of time, so we're gonna cook it sous vide. First of all, we salt the breasts and pepper them. Turn it over to the other side. And only salt this side so that the skin doesn't turn black from the pepper. Carefully transfer this into a vacuum-sealed bag. We pick some fresh thyme and throw down with the meat. Also some bay leaves. Take a head of garlic and crush it with your hand. We clean the cloves, crush them with a knife, and throw them in the bag as well. Now we cut off a piece of butter and throw that in there as well. Now we'll put the bag in the vacuum sealer, close it up, and suck out all the air from the bag. Done. Then the butter will melt and all the herbs and spices will open up more. Now we'll take a saucepan. We send a plate to the bottom, fill it with water, and then put the pan on the stove. We lower our package with the duck breasts into the water. And most importantly, toss in a thermometer. For 4 whole hours, we will make sure that the water temperature does not rise above 57 degrees. After this time, we take it out and we open it up. And take out the duck breasts themselves. We scrape off all the spices that are stuck to it. After that, we turn this all over to the other side and to make notches in the skin so that the fat is melted as quickly as possible and we're left with a crispy skin. That's it, we put the breasts on the grill, first with the skin down. Literally 50 seconds and turn them over. Well, and then remove them from the fire. Now our duck breasts are completely ready. We slice into them, and inside we see a perfectly pinkish meat. Such a good effect can be achieved only with the help of sous vide. But that's not all. You need to make berry sauce for the duck. For the berries, we will use cherries, plums, and currants. We send this all into a blender. Squeeze out some orange juice from above. Close the lid, and then we blend. Our berry puree is ready. Now we take a saucepan, put a sieve on top of it, pour out all the contents of the blender, and mash it through with a spatula. We're left with a perfectly thick berry juice. We pour in some wine here, Add in a stick of cinnamon and toss it on the stove. Now you just need to evaporate all this until it thickens and the sauce is ready. We also take a nectarine and make a cut in a circle. We divide this into 2 parts and cut it into slices. We throw these on the grill. And on both sides, we're left with beautiful grill strips and spread those out on a plate. Now the duck breast. Now a cut and lay out a fresh sprig of rosemary. Now you just gotta pour the sauce beautifully on the plate. In my opinion, this turned out to be the most attractive dish for the day. We get some peach and some duck on a fork and dip it all in the sauce. Let's try it. And yes, for today we have the most delicious meat. Just the perfect sauce and sweet nectarine. Each of the steaks cooked today is very tasty. Here the question is what kind of meat you like more? Be sure to like and subscribe to our channel, and see you everybody!